Hi everyone! I just wanted to make a brief training video on the Virtual Service Learning Project, the Affecting Change project, because it's coming up next week and I know there might be some questions, and so I just wanted to walk you through this again before next week so it makes it a little bit easier for you to present it to your students. So I'm going to go over the entire project, and as always, if you have any questions, just email me. So the scope of the project is 6 weeks long, and that's very intentional, so our students start learning how to plan long-term for projects like research papers that might be ongoing in other courses. So it's going to help them plan out long-term projects. There's 3 components to this project. So the first is a proposal, and there's also a check-in, which is worth 5 points each, and the check-in will take place on the discussion board during one of their virtual learning days. There's the actual call to action itself, and we'll talk about how exactly do we assess that. And then there's a Pechakucha presentation, which will inform the class of their call to action, which is worth 20 points. The total points for this project is worth 50 points, and I think of it more of as in completion or incompletion type grade, where we're not really assessing for quality per se, rather completion and passion for what they did. So if I see passion in my students and they really took the reins on this project, I'm willing to give them the full 50 points, even if their proposal is not written very well. And the reason for that is we want this project to be a way for our students to connect with the community in ways that are difficult now during the times of COVID. And we want to tap into what their passions are. So a call to action is an invitation to take a desired action. So for this project, a call to action will be a solicitation of a behavioral change in some way that benefits the community. We want to help students define what community can be, though. So typically students will want to rely on what's comfortable, so family and friends. And yes, that's always an option, but we also want them to kind of extend beyond that and think about what are ways that they can really make an impact in their community. So family, friends, church community, school community, athletic community, social media community, their work community, etc. So for this project, we do want to think about community as a population of 20 or more people, so they're making a larger impact than they were with just their circle of friends. What we want to help students do, and when you're describing this project, you really want to link back into some of those passions. So again, we're trying to inspire changes in behavior in the community. And this age group is a perfect age group to do that. They're very passionate about certain things, and those things have probably come up in your discussion post or during class discussions. And we want to tap into those passions so they feel like they are actually making a change and they're connecting to Reinhardt, they're connecting to the community, developing that sense of belonging. So this project is actually pretty important. So I've given you some examples of what a simple call to action could look like. So for example, I might send a call to action on Instagram to my extended family and friends, more than 20, soliciting adoption of a feral cat. All right, I might send a call to action in a group email to my local neighborhood association to start a Clean the Neighborhood campaign if there wasn't one in my neighborhood. I might send a call to action email to my local school's weekly newspaper to garner interest in developing a book exchange club for children who are being homeschooled or teleschooled due to COVID. Or I can even do this on my local school's Facebook page or email the principal, something like that. I also might send a call to action GoFundMe to raise money for a cause that's close to my heart, so breast cancer awareness or the Alzheimer's Association or something like that. So the options for students are completely endless. We just want them to think about what inspires them and what changes they want to make in their community for how they're going to run this project. So the first component of the project is the proposal, and that's due on September 20th. And it needs to be well written. We want to encourage that, but it's a one-page statement of what exactly they're going to do. And this will help them start thinking through this project. So to receive the full 5 points, we want them to choose the what, why, who, when, and how. So the what of the project will be their subject of interest. So what is it that they want to see change? So I want to see more feral cats adopted. That's my what. The why is why they want to actually take on this call to action. Why are they passionate about this particular topic? What do they know about this topic already? So here's where we're going to ask them to do a little bit of research. So we're going to ask them to use at least 3 to 5 credible resources to research about that particular topic. So I included the example of the Feral Cat program, but I know a lot of my students are very interested in Black Lives Matter or LGBTQ+, or anything like that is going on right now in the world in terms of social change. So we would want to encourage them to go and do some research on these organizations or these movements to try to understand what these movements are about and how can they make change within this particular movement, association, or what do they know already about this and what else can they learn about this particular topic. So the example I gave you, if I wanted to encourage people to adopt a feral cat, I might research why adopting a feral cat is important. So what are the benefits to humans? What are the benefits to the local pet population? And I might research organizations like the Feral Cat Program of Georgia, and this might give me some ideas about who could I reach out to make my call to action. Then we want students to think about the who. So who is the audience that they're going to be reaching out to? Who is their community? So again, we talked about at least 20 people in the workplace, in their classes, in their family, church, social media, etc. Then we want students to remember, we're not really letting them set their own deadline, but remember that the deadline is October 2nd. So this is, by this time, they should have sent out their call to action. So they should have sent that email. They should have put something on Facebook or Instagram or whatever social media that they use. And the how. So how will they conduct their call to action? So again, are they going to do a petition? Are they going to ask for donations? Are they going to do a social media post? We want them to think through what's the most effective way to reach the most amount of people for their call to action in order for them to be successful. Because they might not always be successful in their call to action. They might not get a response from anyone, and that's okay too. And that's why this is a complete, incomplete type project. So there will be a midpoint check-in, and that's just kind of to make sure, hey students, did you do your call to action? And this will help you determine whether they did it or not. So that 20-point value we see here. And they will do this on the Canvas discussion board on October 9th, and we want them to discuss what was the call to action and how was it delivered? So following up on their proposal, did they have any success? And how do they know that they were successful? So did they get an email back from, you know, their local principal about the book drive? Have they documented their call to action? So we want to make sure that they're documenting this ahead of time. We want to let them know, hey, everything that you do, you know, take a picture of a social media post that you sent, or keep a copy of that email so you can include it in your presentation. And then also I want them to extend on this project to think longer term. So how would they continue their call to action outside of this project? So if they're really passionate about getting involved in the Black Lives Matter movement, how could they do that? What could they do? How could they contribute to their community in that way? And again, so their call to action is 20 points, so complete, incomplete. And then their final product for this project is the presentation. So here they're going to be doing a PechaKucha presentation, which is typically 20 images for 20 seconds each. So it's called a 20-20. So in other words, they've got about 400 seconds to tell their story. Now, this might be a little bit challenging if students haven't documented enough of their call to action, or if they were not successful. So I'm okay with you kind of playing around with this a little bit. If they can't do 20 slides, that's fine. I have included information here to learn more about how PechaKuchas actually work if you're not familiar with that format, and that will also help students. But I would encourage them as much as possible to stick with the PechaKucha format, because the great thing is they can upload these to the PechaKucha website and they could get recognition for their work. So you could think maybe if they're researching a particular topic and they don't have a lot of visuals, maybe they could pull visuals from, like, let's say the Black Lives Matter movement and include it in their slide about why they were interested in doing this particular topic. But the things that I don't want us to play around with too much is what we want them to include in their presentation, because we are going to be trying to assess this through our QAP, which is our Quality Enhancement Plan. And that's how we see how effective is our service learning project in FYS. And we kind of get kudos for FYS if we do this well. So we want students to address in their presentation what their call to action was, how did they conduct it. So we want images of what exactly they did to conduct their call to action. Again, an Instagram post, an email, etc. We want them to determine were they successful or not. Will they also continue their call to action longer term? And we also want students to know it's okay if it wasn't successful. What can we learn from this? What can they learn from failure? What can they learn from success? What can they learn about the project itself? So this is a project about time management, about involvement, about learning from mistakes. So this project has a lot more to it than were you just successful in your call to action or not. So we want to help our students grow through this presentation. And I would like students to have 5 slides in the presentation that address each of the following questions so you guys can properly assess it in the QEP rubric that is attached to this assignment. So we want them to discuss initiative. So how did they complete the service project? And how did it help them generate and pursue opportunities to expand knowledge, skills, abilities, attitudes, or values? So how did this project extend what they think about the topic? We want them to talk about independence. So how did they gather more information on the subject themselves? And we want to talk about curiosity. So would they continue this project? What kind of topics did this elicit for them to start getting more interested in, maybe in researching something in the future? Transfer of knowledge. So how can they apply what they've learned during the service learning experience to other parts of their life? And how did it fuel their imagination or their independent thought and their ideas about lifelong learning? So we definitely want to extend this project. And then finally, a self-reflection or self-assessment. What did they learn about their strengths and weaknesses as it relates to professional development through completion of the service learning project? So basically, what I would like you to do is when you're presenting this project to students, make sure that you are also including this rubric, because that will help them as they move forward in doing their presentation. So I would walk them through what I just walked you through. And again, if you have any questions, let me know. I think it should be fun. It'll be a trial and error. We'll see how well it goes for our students. I think if we explain it well enough, we'll kind of eliminate some of those frustrations ahead of time. And also be flexible, like I said, with the presentation. If you need to be a little bit flexible with this, that's okay. But we need to have at least, these 5 slides, and you need to have them explain to you what exactly they did and how successful they were or not. So I'm excited to hear how this goes. And again, let me know if you have any questions, and everybody continue doing a great job that you're doing. I appreciate you.